Hello, and thanks for clicking on the link to watch this short video. What I've entitled, what are the critical things to know about QuickBooks 2013? I mean, you've all heard about the user interface change. And sure, there's some videos on the Intuit Academy site for that break down the user interface change. For me, I'm a huge fan because now I can see. Okay, so I'm sure some of you will fall into that camp. If you want the top icon bar, you can go to View and put the top icon bar back, right? But I love the left nav panel, how I can customize the shortcuts, go into my apps if I want to, even sign in, etc. But how about a few things that you just might not know about that's in there yet? Obviously, it's still early yet. First off, look at my window and look at the bottom. The other windows I have open are now kind of in my system tray in QuickBooks, if you will. That's new. Nice little touch there. How about when you bring up a check, and let's say for those who are job costing, and we'll have some kind of, a subcontractor or whatever. Hamlin Metal came out and they did some work here, $500, and you assign it to a particular job in repairs, and you notice that now usually that billable box will be checked automatically. But maybe it's an estimate, and I'm going to invoice against the estimate. I don't want to pass this through. I don't want a bunch of unbillable time and expense materials sitting in QuickBooks waiting to go to an invoice. The ability now to not check the billable box, usually it's by default is checked. So how did I do that? Under the preferences, if you go to time and expense, you have the ability to either mark all time entries and expenses as billable or not. It's huge for contractors that do an estimate versus actual or start with an estimate. You don't want to have a bunch of unbillable stuff if you're never really going to pass that through because your customer's already agreed to pay what's on the estimate. Fair enough? So that's a big one. Also, in the bill itself, I can now print a bill, right? And that's excellent. You couldn't do that before, as well as I can expand the bill up here in the expansion, part of the user interface, but also you notice the new Forms ribbon, and there's a video in Intuit Academy on that, but I can click this icon up here and expand the bill to almost the full size of the program. So you just have a maximized or super maximized window, if you will, and you can expand that, and you can also close the ribbon. So many ways to look at the transaction document how you want it and make it as big as you want it. And that's another one there. Also on reports, my sales by item report here, sales by item detail report. You'll notice that the inventory items now pull over the description. That was never the case before, and that's great for people who are doing inventory because a lot of manufacturers, wholesale, retail might have an item code or a number for the item name. Right? And it's really hard to tell on a report. Well, now I have the description, which could be the name itself. So that's also in there. The profit and loss report and other reports, you can now expand and collapse sub-account rows or other account rows instead of just all or nothing, right? Now you can actually expand them and collapse them within a row itself. Another critical change to the online banking center. If I were to go to the actual, let me blow this up a little bit. If I go to checking, I can actually create different renaming rules. If I want, just create a new one and say, anything that contains or maybe begins with, ends with, whatever, or contains Home Depot, or I could say, Chronic Union Electric, and then rename it to CU Electric. And so it's a much more sophisticated renaming rules when you do download your bank transactions from the bank and they throw a date or a number onto Home Depot or 7-Eleven or whatever. So this is much easier to manage the actual renaming rules. Okay. Also another one to call out for 2013. And finally, that if I go back to the App Center piece where I can go to my apps and I can actually sign in to the App Center and put in your user ID or what have you, and it'll validate it and put in the password you have. This is for any of the online add-ons or applications you use, whether they're Intuit or not, that will connect with the QuickBooks company file. And you'll see your apps there and you can actually stay signed in. These are some of the critical features new for 2013, other than just a big change for the user interface itself. I hope that was helpful. Have a great day.